I can think of one of my clients in particular. She was like 43, 44, and you know, periods were irregular, like just kind of starting to have some of those symptoms, went to her doctor, and they just like, yeah, you know, you're perimenopause, like you just have to deal with it. She went through my program and everything changed. Like she started having regular periods, more energy, just feeling better. Yeah, I mean, I think now because of the rise of, you know, TikTok and social media and everything, it is being talked about more for sure. And I mean, I myself have like started having some things that I'm like,
damn,
like,
hot
it's too
flashes.
early.
Hot flashes, are you kidding me?
you know, but yeah, it's definitely something. I mean, cause it could last. I mean, they're saying it even starts like in your 30s.
That's what I read.
Yeah.
Most people don't know that.
Exactly. But, you know, 10 plus years that you can be going through this phase in your life. And so that's, of course, where nutrition and everything plays such a huge role in supporting all of that, instead of just going to your doctor and asking for a prescription.
And I read a long time ago, so I don't remember the details. Maybe you guys can remind me. But, like, I know, like, when you make that transition, like, some of the responsibilities in your body move over to your adrenals from female organs, right? Well, if you're already adrenally fatigued,
Correct.
you're
Which
tired,
most people are.
you're stressed, and then the body goes, hey, by the way, you're responsible for something else now. Can you speak to that a little bit too?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, yeah, the stress piece, the, you know, being in that fight or flight mode, that's where the breathing, you know, comes into play. I mean, it seems like so simple, but I like to ask people, like, how long do you think you can go without food? Like maybe a week, right? The longest is actually 382 days.
How many?
382. I think he did like vitamins and water or something. Like
382?
yes, you can
Like
look
an
it up.
entire year.
No way.
You can look it up.
I feel like I can go without food like for 6 hours. You know?
I've done 72.
I've done
And it was
40.
life changing.
Yeah.
My skin
Yeah,
has never looked better. My
Yeah.
energy hasn't been that great ever. My mental capacity also. It was pretty insane. And I was doing CrossFit with it too.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, our body is really
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, how long do you think you can go without water? Maybe 3 days, right? How long do you think you can go without breathing? A minute, two, right? So you kind of get the point. So yeah, I mean, when you're just in that mode all the time of go, 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 and things are already at their worst, and then yes, you add in that time, and stressing your adrenals more. That's what, like, I've also read, but about workouts.
Correct.
They start telling people, okay, like, you know, no long runs, no heavy strength training and stuff during this
ask you about
time.
that.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm kind of mixed because I feel like if you're already in that mode, like, then go for it. Like, no, I wouldn't necessarily tell somebody at that time in their life to then start something like that. But yeah, I mean, that does all these little things that, like, just can stress your body out more, and you have to kind of start addressing, you know, where can I attack first, whether that's the nutrition or the workout piece. Because yeah, once you kind of get that all you know, normalized, I think your symptoms, to me, pretty much anything medically can be healed.
Well, and you gotta wonder that if, you know, obviously women have been going through menopause for since the beginning of the world.
Yeah.
But here's the deal though. Maybe the symptoms didn't used to be so bad.
Correct.
Exactly.
Well, I
What
think
you
it
think?
all goes back to stress. A lot of people, when they think about stress, they think about working 12-hour days. Stress is so much more than that. Stress is also your relationships. Are they adding or are they draining you? What are you putting into your body? Whether it's food, as females, makeup, perfumes, they're destroying your adrenals.
That's chemical stress.
Let's talk about, as chiropractors, subluxations. A joint is not moving, creating more fight or flight into your life. I talk to my patients all the time because I have retired patients. I have patients that they're set for life, and guess what? Stress is still there.
Wait, I can retire as a patient?
No,
You could.
you shouldn't.
I don't recommend it.
But it's just a huge piece for everyone's health, especially females. are living in a world where everything is stress. You're killing your adrenals since the moment that you wake up. You can probably confirm this. Most of us wake up and what do? Have a drink of coffee or start texting and scrolling.
Looking at problems in emails.
Correct.
And no.
And then you think about it and you're like, man, my adrenals are dead by the beginning of 30s or even before.
And if you're tired by 10 o'clock, if you don't have 10 a.m., if you don't have caffeine, your adrenals are probably fatigued.
Yeah.
It's not normal.
Yeah.
And there's so much, so much the body can take at some point.
Correct.
You know, there's not a magical escape valve for stress in any human being, right? So that stress keeps building up, and then we start to see the body signals, these symptoms, right?
I haven't talked about gut health, and that's not my specialty, but you know, like I know some from personal and things I've learned and everything too, and I mean that plays such a role too, because all that stuff lives in your gut, and when your gut is out of whack too, like that's just adding
Everything's
more
off.
to it.
Well, they say your stomach, your gut is your second brain. So we hold everything there.
Yeah.
And let's not talk about even emotional stressors. Your gut holds literally everything, whether it's fear, whether it's anger, whether it's depression, it's all coming from there. And that's as well as females, no one talks about. There's a lot of pressure on being a female already, on being a good mom, on being a good provider. And people are burned out.
And women are taking on more and more roles, would you
correct.
not say?
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. So do you, my thought process is, you know, you get to menopause, it's like, oh my goodness, I'm done with the period. You know, is that a celebration for a lot of females? Or is
I
this
don't
like,
think I'm gonna be celebrating.
or is it like, shit, now I got to deal with these hot flashes or something?
Well, once you're all the way through menopause, maybe you celebrate.
Maybe. I mean, I don't even know then, because I still feel like you know you're losing your estrogen. I mean, like you know that your body's not gonna be what it was, like
Correct.
in many ways. So I feel like it's still always gonna be.
It's changes. I think it's like my mom always said, every decade is different for a woman.
Oh yeah.
Like every decade you change a little bit, things change a little bit. And I always like, oh yeah, mom, whatever. But like then I'm like, okay, just kidding. I'm like, I just turned 40. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, here we go, new decade. But I think part of it is the mindset you were talking about earlier, which is embracing that new time in your life, right? And so menopause, things are going to change. After menopause, things are going to change, but then you get to play a different role. You get to help other people, you get to share with other people. Have you talked to patients about that and experienced that too?
There's actually some stuff even with PCOS that, I mean, we could get deep. I don't know if anybody's heard of German new medicine.
Oh yeah, I've heard about
it. And sometimes those cysts can be a manifestation of a psychological problem. For PCOS, it can be a loss of a loved one. But
it's so fascinating.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Emotions and physical connections.
Well, all our organs store emotion. Your heart is literally heartbreak. Your stomach is anger. I had a lot of problems with that. I was dairy intolerant until my provider in Georgia noticed that it was because I was holding so much anger through the years that it messed my whole stomach up. After he started doing some work on my stomach, now I can eat dairy again. It's incredible how your body just heals and stores.
And Dr. Anders, I don't know if you know this, but women, we're really good at holding emotions. Did you know that?
Until we're not.
Until you're not.
And then it comes out on you.
Yeah, I'll pay for it.
And then you pair with the hormones and it blows up.
But go back to what you were saying. You're saying you were saying the cyst can be holding different emotions.
I don't remember.
And we were just saying that, like,
loss of a loved one.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it can be similar, even like with menopause and like these different phases throughout you know your life, because depending on psychologically what else is going on or what you've been through. I mean, that's the reality too, is that a lot of people have gone through these traumas now that again never experienced before.
What do you think about women needing, like, I feel like women, we try to control things. I don't know. I try to control things. Maybe it's just me. Do you think
Not
it's just
only
you. But I feel like when we're trying to control everything, trying to do everything, trying to like make sure manage family life, kids, work, our bodies, everything, you try to manage everything. And so you try to control everything. And even when you said, I don't know if I want to go through menopause, I don't know if I want to go through perimenopause. Well, guess what? You don't really get to decide. So what do you guys have to, what are your thoughts on like, women like us trying to learn how to release some things maybe and trying to maybe not be the general manager, control of the universe type of person? What is your personal experience with that, and what would you say around this discussion with that?
I would say first, have grace with yourself. I think a lot of females don't. Yeah. We want to take over the world, and that is fine. But you got to have some grace with yourself. We're all on a different journey. Second of all, look for help. You can't do it all. Whether it's seeing a chiropractor, whether it's finding people like Lindsay that can just guide you through the process. You don't have to do everything by yourself. And I see it in my practice. I was just talking to you about it, that there was a period in my practice that I had like 6 females, all with the same symptoms. They weren't sleeping well, high cholesterol. These are kind of healthy people. And I was like, something's not adding up here. That's when I, as a female, had to dive into what may be going on. And it all comes back to menopause. And what were they doing? Giving them medications. And they were coming to me because they're like, I don't want to take this medication. Why is this happening? I'm eating correctly, or at least healthy enough. And you need providers like her that can guide you through the process and answer the questions and maybe help you with the nutrition aspect or the movement aspect. But it all starts with asking for help and just having grace with yourself. It's a lot.
That's good. What about you?
I talk to a lot of women, and some end up being clients and some don't. And partially because they have to be ready. Like what I do, I tell people it's not easy, but it's very worth it. I actually heard something in one of the books I was finishing up yesterday, and they said self-care is not selfless. And that's where I think I'm not a mom, but I think as a nurse, I still have that kind of like, I want to just fix everything and take care of everybody. And it's always about everybody else instead of me. And of course, for moms, teachers, even we see it. And it comes to a point where you have to be able to say no to things sometimes, because you have to do it for your own sanity, before you can truly give everything else to everybody, everybody that's important to you. Right. So
it starts with you.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts as a male on this? You know women. You've been around a few. I don't care. Such a man said. What would you share with women that you wish more women knew? Because we run around trying to control everything, trying to balance everything, trying to do everything. What do you wish that we knew?
It's tough. I from my perspective, it's tough because a lot of things that you guys are aware of, I'm not necessarily aware. Unfortunately, as a guy, I know you guys take a lot in. It's I got to do this, I got to help that person, and deep down, I was like, if they don't ask me, I'm not gonna do it. So it's tough because you guys stress about different things in general. We stress about stupid things like my tire, it's flat, or it's hot, stupid things, So it's hard for me to give a perspective on that, unfortunately.
What's funny is I read a book. I used to work with teenagers, and I read a book. It was for teenagers, but it was called Men Are Waffles, Women Are Spaghetti, right? And I have never forgotten that. It's a joke between my husband and I. Like, I'll be frantic about something, and he'll be like, whatever. And I'm like, it's because I'm spaghetti, okay? Leave me alone, right? Do you guys relate to that? Is that something like, as spaghetti, as women, like, everything affects everything affects everything. And so, to your point, your health, your nutrition, how you feel, if you're stressed, if somebody looked at you wrong in the office when you're having a bad day, it affects everything, right?
Oh, everything.
Like, can you speak to that and just like how to help?
As a younger doctor, I'm a psycho when it comes to planning. When I tell you a psycho, I'm thinking in the future starting a family. I've already checked daycares. I've checked what could I do with my schedule. Who could I bring into the team? I already know the amount of money I need for daycare if I have to do it. And my husband looked at me. He's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why are you thinking about all that? And that's literally how our brains work, because we want to have all our bases covered. And it comes to a point, it's exhausting. As female also, I don't know if this is a Latina thing, we want to control every aspect of our lives. We want to control how our husband does everything, how the house looks.
You guys are really hard to control, by the way.
Yeah. But it comes to a point that you just got to let go and let them do their thing. And that's something early marriage, I learned.
I agree.
I was like,
She said
the
it.
house will be clean at some point. Life will keep on. God will provide. It's just letting God and letting go and letting God. Because if not, you're gonna literally go crazy.
Yeah. I like when you started saying planning. I'm
Does
like,
your husband agree with that statement?
yeah, he's pretty go with. I mean, I'm pretty go with the flow, but like, there's still things where I'm like, okay, how am I planning my day? Like, and I'll ask him, you know, if we're traveling or whatever it is, then he's like, just do it, like, just whatever. And I'm like, no, like, you don't understand. Like, I'm like, should I shower now? Because like, you know, if I do my workout and like,
That's me too.
But there's definitely, I have that like hyperachiever, like saboteur where I want everything to be perfect and I want to do a good job with everything. And like, you know, we were even talking about like me working on my podcast and I'm like, you know, I need to have this done and this done and this done. And it's like, no, like, yeah, I do just have to like let go and just do it. It's this messy, imperfect action.
Correct.
Like versus being perfect all the time. Yeah.
Bringing it back to you as a male, and I know him very, very well for many, many years. He's like that too. He's an overachiever mentality, kind of scattered, but he has everything covered. If not, he'll freak out if things aren't going his way or how he planned it or how he saw it. So even as a male, like, he does go through that, whether he wants to admit it or not. And he needs strong females like Genesis, me, that kind of, okay, calm down.
They'll control
Let's
the
go
situation.
back to the basics, which is taking care of yourself. That way you can do those things. So also as a male, like, you have to do that. It's not about just letting them go crazy and whatever.
I just my priorities are different.
So you guys don't seem to be quite so sensitive to sometimes when people say things like, somebody will say something to me and it'll affect my whole day. Maybe it's just
That's
me.
very true.
Like fucking.
Yeah, somebody says something to you and you go, I'm sorry you feel that way. Keep going. And you're like,
when we at the gym, oh my gosh, like my car like threw a check engine light and like I stalled not in the middle of an intersection and like that was like the tip of the iceberg. Like I had this breakdown.
Oh yeah.
I'm calling my husband and I'm like crying and I got people honking behind me. You know?
in the middle of the intersection.
But now it's like, because again, I was like going through some health stuff in the gym and like, you know, I'm like, I had this plan for the day, but now I'm like, okay, like, you know.
Oh no, I'm not like that. I lose it. My world is falling apart if things don't go my way. It's really hard.
Let's bring this back to 1 second to people, women, particularly who are going, you know, older women going 40 plus in perimenopause, menopause, like all these things we're talking about, these control things, taking care of yourself. Like, let's just wrap this up. What are those people who are going through changes in life? Like, how can they focus on that, and why is it even more important right now during that stage?
In order to take care of people, you got to take care of yourself first.
Yeah,
you can't give out of an empty cup.
Yeah.
It's something I learned very, very early on, even in college. I remember a mentor of ours would tell us that you cannot give out of an empty cup, and that means if you're burned out, you're not going to give your best. If you don't have the health that you need in order to take care of others, guess what? You're not going to be able to take care of others. Right. As a female, as a future mom, if I want to be the best version of myself for my kids, for my husband, for my patients, it all starts with me. So you got to just look inward and be like, okay, what do I do in order to become the healthiest version of myself and stop ignoring the symptoms? Or how can I prevent that menopause, the symptoms that are not as strong when I get there? Just looking into a future.
So preparing ahead to make yourself healthy now for later.
If you want kids in the future, you got to look at what you're doing now, because infertility doesn't come out of the blue.
And it's going up higher and higher. Infertility
in females and in males. And it all starts with, what are you doing in a daily basis? Are you eating correctly? Are you moving? Are you managing the stress levels? I think people kind of just forget that.
It's just like you were saying, you know, menopausal symptoms. a lot of these issues, they start when you're in your 30s.
Correct.
So the decisions are going to make today, you might not see the changes now, but you might see them once you hit retirement. And you worked 30 years of your life. You made all this money. You never took care of your body. And now the moment you're ready to travel the world, you can't barely move because you don't have the energy. You can't keep up with yourself. Your body's falling apart.
Correct.
You barely sleep. The hot flashes are killing you because, again, you've never made the right choices 30 years ago.
And it's never too late to start.
So that's what I was going to ask. What about people who are older and they're like, but I'm already 40. What do I do?
No, I mean, one thing that I see a lot too is these people that just accept the diagnosis. And whether that's PCOS or, anything else, even diabetes. I mean, like that's not a prison sentence. You can still do so much for yourself and your body and your health. And so, if it's menopause, like, maybe you weren't taking care of yourself before. The unfortunate thing is a lot of us make changes to get away from the pain instead of go towards pleasure, so maybe it's going to take that moment to be like, okay, maybe I do need to start doing something, but it's never too late.